One of the most remarkable things I've observed is how much people want community,
Oh,
how much we crave to be loved, to be listened to, and to be heard. And it's a strange thing that when we get independent, adversarial, and competitive, we lose that bond that's connecting. And I think it's probably the main thing that takes us from a place where we're in different silos and having different purposes in life that separate us. And if we could just get back to listening and caring about people because they matter to us, everything would change in the world. Overnight it could change.
it's really hard to have the divide and conquer protocol work when people are in a united community, aren't they?
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you just thought about it for a minute, that's what religion's supposed to do, is what spirituality is all about. It's what everybody wants, and yet we do things that separate us, particularly when it comes to separating us financially, and when it comes to separating us from different religions, different races. We look for the things that are different rather than the things that are the same. And what we are trying to do is look for the things that bring us together and see if we can agree on those things. And if we can agree on those things, then we're off on a new direction, rather than being focused on things that maybe are important, but not the primary thing.
Yeah, it's like when people are in community, you begin to think, what makes the community stronger? That's the default thought for most people, right? And when you're with somebody and you look eye to eye with another person, you say, we're in community, so what builds our community strength? What builds our community identity? What makes us a unified body that can think together in a joyful way that's good for the whole, for the community? But sadly, a lot of systems, like governments and corporations, don't want individual communities unless they serve them directly. So it's not about serving the community or the individuals in the community. It's about serving the government or the corporation or that entity that wants to control the individual. So what's the difference between community and individual?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, if things are about money instead of service, they're about being narcissistic instead of building community. These are the things that destroy all the things that matter in life so much. It's like a mother feels about its baby. I mean, that love, what they go through to have a baby is incredible. And the bond it lasts for a lifetime. Yeah. And somehow we get separated from that connection, even though we have mothers. We all have mothers. And at the time that we're born, the mother really adapts to us and connects. And it's a beautiful thing. And sometimes things don't work out down the road because of how the circumstances of life are. Because we don't think about that so much. We're thinking about careers and about what can I get out of what I'm doing. And love, we both said so many times, is about giving and sharing and receiving graciously. But it's not for taking. That's not love. Yeah. And that's the energy of the universe.
It seems like when people get pushed to make a choice about an issue, they stop thinking about community and they think about what's my emotional reaction or what's my emotional attachment to that issue, what is a trigger in me. And so when it comes back to that me feeling, I have pulled away my connection to the community, and now I'm associated now to a connection with the issue. And that's very dangerous. That's important to have.
Well, it separates us
about issues.
It separates us. And that's the one thing, united we stand, divided we don't. And if we just focus on the other person rather than just ourselves, it's what gives us the pleasure, the satisfaction, the love and connection, the unconditional love that is what we all want. And it seems paradoxical that what most people are doing, because we're conditioned that way, is we're looking to be rocket scientists or doctors or something else that has respect and power. You become important. It makes you money. But it's the last thing that really is going to give you the connection of community, because that's really about unconditional love and being committed to it. And it takes a lot of responsibility if it's not natural to you. So we have to, when we're born, we learn some of that early if the parents teach us that. But if they don't, and it becomes a a contest or something that's not really warm and fuzzy, we lose that, and then we go through life trying to get the love and the respect and the confidence and the trust that we crave.
When people get misguided into their identity, and they forget that their identity is based on the community that they live in, whether the community was just a few people or lots of people, they realize that their survival, the heart level survival, the real deep survival,
that's right,
comes from the relationship, the interconnection with other people. And we live in a world that has been trying to convince us that it's our unique likes on social media. It's our unique where we put our hearts and our thumbs up that matter. And that's no longer about people. It's about images. It's about somebody's video.
It's disconnecting.
It's disconnecting from community and reconnecting with individual issues. And that's the greatest way to break up a community, because you don't even realize you're doing it. That's the scary part. And I think such the devious part of this is that these modern techniques of social media have gotten people to stop thinking about the reality of community and heart connection, and more of, oh, I'm in the community that likes this particular rock star, or I like this particular politician, or I don't like this particular politician. And it stops you from being authentic by talking to another person about what your real feelings are about these situations, and finds that you have more connections with that person. Even if you don't agree on the same issue, you may have a lot of other things that you agree on. That's really the heart of community, not how you feel about different topic areas.
I know as a doctor, for me, the thing that I felt the best about is when I could do something where I was giving to somebody and didn't charge them. Or if they came to the office and they didn't have enough money to get home, give them $20 or $50 or whatever would make them feel better. And the warm feeling that I get from that and the appreciation that comes from the other person is all built about listening to deeply to what they need, what they don't have, what you might be able to do to support them. Because what you give comes back to you manyfold. And if we could live that way, if we weren't under the thumb of governments that almost universally are corrupt, no transparency, have conflicts of interest, we're being corralled into a place where we become bitter. And the next thing you know is we start fighting amongst ourselves or responding to the pressures they're putting on us to overthrow a government. This has been the role of government, sadly, since the world has been here. It's a sad thing to see it happening. And we were talking a little bit about Bhutan just earlier today, and how different that is. Tell us something about how that works and how it's different, and how it's actually in action today.
Well, for the most part, people don't put their focus anywhere but their community. The focus is on local communities, and there's lots of local communities there, and people are independent, but they're tied to the community. So there is a sense of my community's first, and if my local village is healthy and we're happy and we help each other and everybody's okay, then the interdependence with the next community will be very positive, because now you can help and work with other communities. And so this network of small, tangible communities that you can really identify with works. And you could say, well, that's easy because it's a low population country and they're agrarian people, but the principle is the same. We can have that same idea that my local community has to be first. Stop looking at top-down politics. Stop looking at top-down social structures and look at bottom-up social structures. That's really the essence of community. So in a place like Bhutan that I've been to for 20 years and I care about, and I really support the people there and bring groups there every year, what people who come from other countries with me find most fascinating is that the people are really happy.
They're thriving.
And they're thriving because there's first a level of safety. No one would ever rob from another person. I mean, that you're constantly giving and sharing with each other to find out what makes the community thrive. So your identity is projected into a thriving community. When that community thrives, when you're in need, it will turn on and help you. If you're thriving, you can help the community. And there's that very different resonance than the individualistic, I can't even say it, it's such a terrible word, the individualistic selfishness, narcissism of our modern Western world.
If we could live like that, it would be really different. When I look at what's happening in the United States these days, I see such a separation between the government and the people. You know, our elected officials are supposed to be listening to what we have to say. They are our representatives. They're not our bosses. So when the government expands, our freedom contracts, particularly in a setting where it costs a lot of money to win an election, particularly at the national level, and you spend a couple of $1 million. Who has that? Who's interested in politics? Not many people. So they get funded by people who want to control them. It's the opposite of building community. It's separating things so that we wind up adversarial. And like you said, if you go back to the grassroots of America, that's where the change can occur. But we have to make a shift like the people of Bhutan have, and how people who are rich spiritually feel and think, because it's not about you and what you have. It's about other people and what you can give to them to make them happy, and you be part of that deal. We've gotten so far away from that, particularly since we've gone from rural life where there were communities of maybe a few, 10, 20 people or 100 people or maybe even 500 people, to cities that have 2, 3 million people. How can you get representation from people who are elected in that setting? It's difficult.
That's why I don't even care about politics. I won't even put my attention on there, because as soon as you do, you lost the game. As soon as you think, why aren't they serving me? Why isn't it a better government? You've already lost. So I say stop even worrying about that and focus on how you build community within your realm. It may be just your building if you live in an apartment. You could live in a high rise and have a community. I've done it before, where just that floor has a community that you're living on. And then the whole building has a community. And slowly you start to see that these communities from the bottom up are much more powerful.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you really thought about wanting to make a change in a political realm, it's never going to happen until you have enough of that going on, enough grassroots identity where individuals are proud of themselves, they love themselves, or they're working hard to be the best kind of person they can be.
Yes.
Model that to the next person, to the small community, to the larger community. That's the only real solution. And that's going to take time, but we all have to make a commitment about who we want to be in contributing to our local community.
Think of all the time we've had. Millions and millions of years to learn that lesson. It seems like people on the earth today are still learning that lesson in spades. And I don't know how we're going to overcome that unless we do come together and we start thinking about the other person rather than just ourselves.
Right. And that's a personal choice. So before we even think about coming together, people have to think about what is the community vibration within themselves first. What do you have as a relationship to your community, and say in the terms of, am I contributing something positive to my community? That's where it starts first.
You can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
So you got to build that up.
And you can experience what you haven't contributed to, right? Because the world we view depends on our worldview, and we've got to have a worldview that says, I'm going to choose from this moment on to see how I can support somebody else, And then that's where community starts. It doesn't start from the top down. Never will.
Amen, Francesco.
Amen, Len.